There is smarter people than me behind me saying, this is the right thing. We've mathematically proven to you, this is the best thing for them. Here's the planner. You put in X, Y, and Z, and it spits out the solution. It is the right solution. You have evidence and math supporting what you're bringing to them. So that gave me the confidence to get up and do it again, because I just didn't want to keep putting people into things that could hurt them. I don't want to sell people products. I want to provide them solutions.
Scott, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for doing this, for being here just in general, and for sitting down and spending a little bit of time, because it's been a while since we've done one of these. Before you joined Juicebox, can you talk about some of the problems that you were experiencing in the insurance business? Because I believe you were fairly new.
Very new. Yeah. I think I was in the industry for maybe 3 or 4 months before I met Juicebox. And, when you're that new to an industry, you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't even really know what I didn't know. What I did believe is that I didn't have a room full of people that I felt cared about me and what we were trying to do. And I didn't have alignment, and I didn't have enough education about this space. You take the training, you study for the exam, you pass the exam, but you're really not ready, until you start meeting clients and running into problems. So for me, it was just refreshing to meet a person and a company that had a process, that had a flow, that could educate you while you were working with real people, real time, knowing that what solution you were putting in front of them was the best for them, because there were other people that had eyes on this with you. So.
What had you tried before coming to Juicebox? Obviously just 3 or 4 months, but I do remember you had tried quite a bit.
I did a lot of, so first buying leads. That was just keep buying leads, go for no, keep dialing. And then I met another group of people that found a company where your phone would just ring. So they would send out cards, get information, postcards, whatever, and the people would call into the line and they would do a live transfer. So you didn't know when anything was coming in, your phone would just ring and you would start to talk to somebody about a final expense or IULs or whatever, but it was, there was no, you weren't prepared. It was just coming at you real time, real fast. And
what did that experience feel like? Did you feel?
I felt like I was at a roulette table, really, because each call coming through was somewhere between $85 and $150. So you were paying real money for that lead to be transferred to your desk. You'd get to that $1,500 mark at 10 calls for the day, and you had better close some business. So it was a lot of pressure.
Was it enjoyable?
No, it wasn't enjoyable because you couldn't prepare your day. You didn't have a calendar where somebody booked some time with you to specifically talk about something. I didn't know who was going to be on the other side of this phone. You never knew who you were going to be talking to. And so the experience was, I didn't know enough even at the time to know whether, is this a good experience? Is this the norm? Is this how everybody is doing business?
Now, retrospectively, when you look back, how does that experience feel, 2 or 3 years past?
I can't even believe I did it for 4 months, 4 or 5 months. Nothing about it felt real. It felt like you were in a program and an experiment, and we were going to see if it worked, because it was, shortly thereafter COVID, we were moving into a virtual world. The company I was with was moving the face-to-face to a virtual rather than sitting at the kitchen table. How do we evolve and do this digitally? How do we do it anywhere in the United States from the comfort of your home? And it was so new that the only thing we could do is take in these phone calls. And it was very unsettling. It felt like I was burning money faster than I could even return the investment.
Was that the reality of your situation before joining Juicebox? Is it more was going out than was coming in?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There was no profit. It was all about loss but it was learning. And I was educating myself. Whenever I do something, I'm all in on it. I knew quickly enough that I didn't spend a year or 2 in the wrong environment. I went to the first environment. I was there for maybe 2.5 months. We left that 2.5 months later, tried another one for 2.5 months. Knew I was still in the wrong environment, because we migrated from, just dialing for leads to having leads come to you, knowing that I was really, really good at picking up the phone and reacting to people's requests, that I thought, I like this model. I'm going to burn a lot of money getting good at it, because there was no cap. You could just leave the phone on all day and take phone calls all day if they were coming through. And you just had to be sharp all the time. So there was no time for making mistakes. It was just unsettling is the way I would say. There was no logic. There was no training. You didn't really know what you were doing. You were provided a couple solutions to sell somebody, not to help somebody. This is where you need to stay. Here's your 2 or 3 products. Sell those because we're incentivized the most to sell this. That felt wrong. And so I knew I was in pursuit of something like, I need to learn this business deeper than I know it today. And I want to do this to help people. This isn't a money move. This is a people move.
What did you see that prompted the investigation into Juicebox 4 or 5 months into the business? And I'm putting words in your mouth, so correct me if I am wrong here, but I think you were at the stage where you were kind of also questioning if this was even the right industry for you. And
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think Juicebox was me not giving up and me saying, I'm going to pursue this thing. There has to be a way to do this. People are doing this, and the financial space is a very profitable space. People are in it, but when you hear statistics of 93% of people that get into insurance aren't here 1 year later, it's a real statistic. So 7% of the people are making it through. What are those 7%? What are they doing? And so I was to the point where I thought I might be one of these 93% people. I think that it's an industry that I needed to try out as a younger person, not have a family and a mortgage and all of these different things. Maybe it's not for me.
what did you see that triggered the interest in Juicebox?
I saw something with a planner. I know there was some visual thing online that showed me a sheet that I could plug into. And if you know me and you've met me, I've always maintained that paper sheet and writing information. And it was like, here's a company that actually has a spreadsheet and a sheet and a planner that we can put information in. And when you plug all of this information into the sheet, it's going to spit out a solution for you. And so I saw that at afar. And then I just wanted to learn more about it and realize that there has to be a better way to reach people than just taking live transfers off the phone, because you just never know who's on the other side, and they haven't been warmed up long enough. And honestly, we called them, they picked up the phone and then transfer them to me. Half the time they didn't even know what they were talking about. So when I was looking and I just saw a small ad, I saw some of the success that people were having in Juicebox, reading, looking, digesting what this company was about. I liked what I saw. It was worth the return. I didn't think the risk at the time for the investment into the program and the training was very, very expensive. I thought this is, I think this makes a lot of sense. I can continue my education. I'll be in a community. They provide leads too. It checked all the boxes that I was looking for. Yeah.
Do you remember some of those moments of skepticism, if any, persisted at that time when you were kind of deciding, should I join Juicebox?
Yeah, I think so. I think, when you're in this world and you touch the stove a couple times and get burned, you think, is this anything in this industry real? Can anybody really do what they say they can do? A lot of people, these IMOs have big promises to, be present for you and help you grow and continue your education and to bring you leads and to foster you. But once you're inside of them, all those promises fade away and you don't really have access to anybody. You find that, I've been there, done that. I've seen a lot of promises, but nobody ever really fulfills them. So the industry just felt a little slimy, and I didn't care for it. It felt I just felt like I was in something that was a Instagram or a TikTok promotion, and it was all about the infamous just getting people wrapped up in their team to build an organization, but there was no substance behind it. There was no intellectual property behind it. There was no format. There was no basis. There was no, just because you passed the exam doesn't really arm you to be very good in this space. There's more to it. So
what made you then decide to do it anyway, given the reservations and kind of how you were feeling in that moment?
Yeah, I never give up. It's a never give up. And I knew people that were doing so good in this industry that I thought, what separates them from me? What am I missing? And so even though I felt like if Juicebox didn't make it for me, I had a long enough runway to just keep trying to figure out how to make this work. You can't try something for 6 months and say this didn't work. If you really want to do something and do it well, you have to dedicate a couple years to your practice. You can't learn enough about this industry in 6 months' time to say, yeah, it's the wrong industry for me. And anything that is successful, and we look at insurance, highly successful. If you want to be successful at it, you have to give it its time. You can't just start jumping around to different things because it didn't work. I tried it didn't work. Well, you just happen to align with the wrong people, maybe the wrong culture, maybe the wrong products, those types of things. And I knew enough about myself that I couldn't possibly know enough about this industry in 6 months' time. So it was never that I was going to give up. You start to wonder, how long is it going to take? And I think I probably 3x'd, 4x'd my acceleration by finding Juicebox. I think I would have found another 16 different ways of not to do it. And quite frankly, it was just instinct that made me pick this company. I could have been wrong too. And we often are wrong more than we're right. I just happened to be, I think, lucky that I found you and the team in a short period of time. And then it just amplified my growth through the trainings, through the culture, through the network of people, through the product ranges that you had. They all aligned with my beliefs, and that you guys had a core belief. You were headed towards something, and it was truthful and transparent and with love and compassion. It had all of the right elements that I fundamentally believe as a human that we should just have. Life is short. Life is very short, and you only have enough time on this earth to leave an impact. And if I can do that through helping hundreds of families retire well or be prepared for retirement through my influence, then I've left an impact on this earth that I think is meaningful. It's always about how can I help the next person. It's less about the money and how can we help other people and other families. Money is just the balance, so we wake up each day and do it and improve our lives. But at the end of the day, after you earn a certain amount of money, money is just a number, and it becomes less about how much can I accumulate in my bank account and more about how can I help people around me. And I think Jim and Brian, yourself, everybody in this organization has a moral compass that's aligned with my moral compass. Pleasure to be around. I never walk into the company and be around people inside of Juicebox that I feel like, oh God, I want to avoid these people. I get excited about coming to these events and being around like-minded individuals and pouring into people. So I want to just say my intuition on picking Juicebox was 90% luck, 10% trusting my gut, and it turned out to be the right experience, and I've never looked back.
What do you think about that shift into retirement income professional? Was that the right decision for you looking back retrospectively?
1,000%. Yeah, 1,000%. I came here with an IUL mindset, insurance, life insurance protection with tax-free access. And
A Swiss Army knife.
a Swiss Army knife, it's just a beautiful product that can do so much for so many people because the cost or the barrier of interest or entrance isn't very high. You can get into this for a couple $100s a month. And so it really is a product for almost everybody. Annuities frightened me because of the complexity of them. I knew what they were. I knew what their value was, but to configure it and to bring people into the right annuity with the right indexes and indices and with the right company and with the right attributes that fits that client was very complex. And I won't say you dragged me into it, but Jim would encourage me to just open your mind to this. I think
What's
I think you'd
contributed?
be really good at it, and just it'll help a lot more people than you realize. And if that's what you really want to do, you need to understand this.
What were some of those things that gave you the confidence to, and again, we'll get into the production in a minute, but what are some of those things that either tools and training or systems or support or your coaches, for example, that have led to you feeling confident to starting to, sell a lot of annuity business?
At first, it was just having the people behind me, Jim, walking me through how to design the illustration, how to present the illustration. What gave me the confidence is that when there's a course that you train us on how to present and how to build and how to maximize a person's retirement through using an annuity. You've laid it out for us to do it, but then I didn't have to even do it by myself. There was somebody there to help me to do it, because there's so many check boxes and things you could put into an annuity app incorrectly to really potentially not allow that client or person to get into the annuity because I made a mistake, because they won't take it because I made a mistake and now they've rejected it. So what gave me the confidence was you were just willing to hold my hand and show me how to do it. You just reached out and said, they're not that hard. Let me show you. It's not that scary. It's okay. Get uncomfortable. But I really like IULs. But I think annuities, I think you could be great at it. So the encouragement, so the backstop to know that we're right behind you and you're doing the right thing. Don't think you're doing something wrong. This is the right thing for this person at this time. That made me feel good, because the last thing I want to do is put somebody into a tool, a device that will end up hurting them or losing money. So I just love the support. And I know people say that, so I want to use a different word than support. I want to say the backstop. There's a community. There is smarter people than me behind me saying, this is the right thing. We've mathematically proven to you this is the best thing for them. Here's the planner. You put in X, Y, and Z, and it spits out the solution. It is the right solution. You have evidence and math supporting what you're bringing to them. So that gave me the confidence to get up and do it again, because I just didn't want to keep putting people into things that could hurt them. I don't want to sell people products. I want to provide them solutions.
So we talked about kind of where you've started, that, not a lot of zero annuity and some IUL. We're 3/4 of the way through the year. Can you give us a projected, where am I ending up at the end of 2024?
Yeah, I think I'll be somewhere between that 10 and 12 million mark. I think I started off the year a little slower, just easing into the year, still learning, still training. Second part of the second quarter was involved in moving homes, moving states, moving licenses. So quarter 1 and 2 were a bit light, but quarter 3, I've been just jumping out. I had a $3 million month for the month of August. And I'm feeling that I'm finding my lane now, and I'm finding where I want to contribute and to stay in. And I have the processes set up, and it's opened a lot of doors and light for me. So I think I'll probably finish, it'll be at least 10 million this year. And honestly, after looking at this year and then looking at the kind of the platinum mastermind that Juicebox provides to you after you reach certain plateaus, we sat down and brainstormed for 4.5 to 5 hours yesterday about, here is the map from 10 million to 20 million, and here are the systematic steps you need to take. And then we just reverse engineered it. And this is what you're missing in your process. And here's how we're going to take you to 20 million. And when I look at that, when I would have sat here and said the number to you 6 months ago, even a year ago, 20 million, I would be just like, you're crazy. There's just no way I can humanly do 20 million. Once you do 3 million in a month, and it's not a $3 million annuity I did, there's probably 15 to 20 annuities in that 3 million markup. So it's a lot of process. It's not one single big case that produced that $3 million result. It's 30 of them that produced it. You have to have processes, and you have to have people in place to help you run that amount of business. Juicebox, I leverage them for everything that I do. I don't look for outside resources anymore, or to think that I can do it better, and rely on my computations and my previous careers to take me to the next level. I've learned enough that sometimes it's just really simple, and the people that have been there and done that will map this for you. That's the kind of community that this is. That is what was most important to me. That's why I'm at where I'm at. I will say this, if I stayed on the course of final expense, live calls, I would have been successful at that too. I would have figured it out, and I would have been able to produce, but in a much more violent atmosphere. A lot of spend to some good returns, but managing that type of client, it's volatile. It's very volatile, to be able to keep them into products and keep them into certain investments. So by coming here and not just having the tools and train to be better, I know that I haven't outgrown or outpaced you yet. You're always ahead of me. And that is special, because there's a lot of times success stories come into environments, IMOs, they outpace that IMO. And then they start looking for the next step. How am I going to grow? Because if I'm the smartest guy in the room and I'm the one that's the best, that stops being the environment for me, because I have nowhere to grow. There's nobody there. Well, you have that already. You're always ahead of me, thinking of the next moves. And You're not 5 years ahead of me. You're 60, 90, 120 days ahead of me when I'm ready to cross that gate. That's important, because if you were 5 years ahead of me, I'm not ready to have those conversations. I'm not mature enough. I don't have the intellect to talk to you 5 years from now, because I have to learn and grow through those gates to be able to understand why you're telling me the things that you're telling me. So I appreciate that most. I remember Mike shared with me, he said, and this was spring, March, 6 months ago. He said, I know what we can do to fix this, but you're not ready to hear it yet. You need a little more time. And I will tell you in fall if I think you're ready to hear it. And he unlocked it for me yesterday, and it was like, oh, thank God. I wish you could have told me that 6 months ago. He said, you weren't ready for it 6 months ago, but you are now. So there's the pacing, there's the intellect, there's the moral compass, there is the backstop in the community. I never feel like, well, is Juicebox going to be around to answer my questions today? They're always there. You always just submit it, and there is always a response. And if they don't know, they'll tell you, we don't know. We'll figure it out though, together. They're great. It's awesome.
If you want to implement the exact strategy that Scott used, click the link in description, book a call with our team. We'll show you how it works and see if this is the fit for you.